If you have recently graduated from cosmetology school and passed your state boards, congratulations. Welcome to the best industry, in my opinion, that you could work in. If not, I don't really know what you're doing here. You're welcome to stay, but I don't think you're going to find this video that interesting. Disclaimer before I get into the weeds of everything I'd like to say, I am a licensed cosmetologist in New York State, so all of my experience in being a stylist has been within the confines of New York State. I'm not well versed on the protocol for other states, so this video is just like a general advice and food for thought to begin your journey in the industry. Consult your local state board and regulations, or a mentor for specific resources or advice for your state or area. So pretty much this video is just like things I wish that someone had told me before I got started in the industry. I am the first hairstylist in my family. I know some people think that's not something to brag about. However, I love it. Being the first person in my family to ever go to cosmetology school or work in this industry, I didn't really know a lot coming into it, and being fully blind, I feel like did kind of stall things at the beginning of my career. So if I could help a new stylist or future stylist not run into some of the same friction that I did in my process of entering the industry, I would love that. And if you take anything away, like that would be great. So my first piece of advice is to get your hands in hair as soon as possible. Honestly, at this point, you probably should have already been getting your hands in hair, especially if your state does require any kind of like apprenticeship or anything. Within the confines of your cosmetology program, you know, they have client days where you can come in and under the supervision of the instructors, you're allowed to work on real live people instead of a mannequin, which is crucial. But I would even see if you could buddy up, depending on your obviously state laws, regulations, whatever, if you could shadow other stylists and, you know, even just help with like a shampoo or a blow dry style or finishing a style. The more hair you get your hands in, the better. Just even for the simple nature of what we do is, for all intents and purposes, like a very intimate thing. And when you're first starting out, it is very awkward to start, you know, touching other people right away. And I think it's a good way to kind of give yourself some exposure therapy to that for sure. And like I said, even if it's just something as simple as like helping shampoo clients, as long as you're getting experience in working on actual people and that they know that like you're still learning and you're a student or whatever, or you're newly licensed or whatever, I just think that's so key to hitting the ground running once you are working in a salon. I didn't really do that, and it is part of why it took me a while to start actually working in this industry professionally, because I was really scared and I didn't feel equipped, because like frankly, cosmetology school does not prepare you for the real world. I do know the Paul Mitchell programs are allegedly like some of the greatest that you could do, just for the simple fact of they kind of give you a more realistic output because it is like a salon based education program. But I mean, the vast majority of us are just kind of either paying to go to like the local community place, whether it's through like a community college or trade school, or like we have a cosmetology school here, but to be frank, it's trash. They just teach you what you need to know and that's it. So yeah, get your hands in hair as soon as possible. My second piece of advice, something that I also did not do and kind of did regret it as I moved along in my career, work in a salon as an assistant stylist before you start taking clients full time. Again, this is where you can kind of start to get your hands dirty. You're putting your hands in hair, but you're also still learning, and you're learning kind of like the realistic fundamentals of hair. You learned all the technical fundamentals in school, but the real world application of a lot of those things, like yes, the basic foundations are the same, but how you execute that in real life is so different from how you execute it in school. Definitely would recommend starting out as an assistant, and do research before you do this. Don't just like blindly jump into like a bad assistance or apprenticeship program. Do your research, make sure that there's like actually room for growth, and make sure it's actually like a structured curriculum that they're going to take you through, like a training process. So, you know, week one might be, okay, this week's going to suck a little bit, but I want you to really get down like sanitization and setup. So for all my clients for the next 2 weeks, you're going to be cleaning my station. You're in between clients. You're going to be setting up. You're going to be folding towels. You're going to be putting stuff away. That sucks. But then as each week progresses, you're going to get more hands-on work / you are going to get more opportunities to finish clients. I obviously wouldn't trust an assistant to like fully do one of my clients' hair if they just started working with me. But as we're getting more familiar with each other, I would be like, okay, so this week, for example, for me personally, I would bring on an assistant who is excited about learning about extensions and lived in color. And, when we start out, I would have them do setup and, kind of menial tasks initially, but that would only be for about a week or two. Once I know they can, like they've got that and they understand, then I would move on to, okay, you're going to help me with finishing my clients. Then it's going to be like, okay, now you're going to help me with shampooing my clients. Okay, now you're going to help me with my actual like foil application and finishing, or you know what I mean, and just build it on it from there. That was a very rambly side tangent. Anyway, do some kind of assistance program that has a structure for growth and for you to eventually become a full stylist in that salon, whether that is as a rental, a commission, whatever. I would suggest at least for a year be an assistant. You're really going to learn a lot. I feel like clients are a little more understanding by your mistakes when you're still in the assistant mode versus stylist on the floor. I just think it could be so crucial. It's definitely something I wish I had done, but again, I just didn't really know at the time that like that was something that I could do. / there also really wasn't many places around here to do that. So something to think about. My next piece of advice is to try everything for at least 2 years. You're not going to become an expert in 2 years, but I feel like 2 years gives you enough time to get in the weeds, get your hands in a lot of hair, try different things. And when I say do everything, we are in such an era in this industry of specialization, but when you are starting out, and I've seen time and time again on Instagram, these amazingly talented stylists coming out of school, immediately specializing and pigeonholing themselves. But then also on the flip side of that, like because they're specializing so quickly and they're charging an arm and a leg, there's some that are doing a phenomenal job, and like no shade, I respect the hustle, get your coin, girl, like go off. But there's so many, I know from personal experience of clients I've had to correct, that there are so many young green stylists coming to the industry, specializing too quickly, and they don't even know what the hell they're doing. And stylists who've been in the industry for well over a decade end up having to correct their mistakes. And it's just not fair to clients. It's not fair to you. And it's a very easy way to tank your reputation. So just put in the time. I know it sucks, but when you do everything, you learn a lot more about what you like, what you don't like, and what you do want to pursue further. If you immediately pigeonhole yourself and specialize, it's kind of like walking before you can run. Get the foundations of the basics of everything down, and then from there you can pivot and niche and pursue your career that way. Again, you can also work with a mentor or a senior stylist to really harness your skills. When I was first starting out, I had no idea how to clipper cut, and to this day, clipper cutting, not my specialty. But I would always pair up with one of my managers or a senior salon staff member to either watch me or talk me through or practice on a mannequin what I needed to do to just do a basic clipper cut. It's just good to try everything and to, again, just really get all the foundational elements of being a stylist down before you go for a specialized service that requires more education and information. Because if you don't have the foundations down, honestly, it's not going to make sense building on to do all these other things. My next piece of advice, which again, you should have probably started while you were in cosmetology school. I feel like it's part of the curriculum now. Establish yourself on social media. And when I say establish your online presence, I mean have an Instagram. TikTok's optional, but have TikTok if that's something you want to go for. If your target market clients are going to be there. Yelp and Google are like non-negotiables. Have those pages established. Yes, even if you're working at a salon, have your own review pages. Trust me, it's crucial when you leave. You're going to want those reviews. Yeah. And then definitely have a website. Not that many stylists that I know have their own website. I've quite literally had a website since like 2018. Again, it's just necessary and you don't need it until you do. So you might as well just have it ready to go, update it, quarterly or annually as needed, but make sure you have all of the outlets established online because it's how people are going to find you. It's how people are going to trust your authority, and it is how you're going to share your work. So yeah, have these platforms forms built out. Even if your salon has a website, have your own. Even if your salon has a Google or Yelp page, have your own that says like your name at and then your salon's name. And there's actually a way through Google to make it so that when people look up the salon, like basically the salon's Google review page will come up first and then yours would come up right underneath it. There's like an option like, is this located within another business? And you would select that. And then make sure Instagram is just like fully built out. Make sure you're taking sick content, not just of your work. Show up personally on there too. And make sure you're, obviously incorporating video and photo content. Obviously, video is going to perform better, but photo content is really how you're going to attract clients. Intermixing content, definitely do all those things. And then last, I am going to say to go to classes, as many as you can, but heavy on the butt. Every time you go to a class, make sure you're applying what is learned at the class before you go to another class. You don't just want to take in all this information and then not have an execution plan for it. So go to a class, start utilizing whatever you learned during the class. And then once you've implemented it into like your day-to-day routine, sign up for another one and go to another one and build off of that. And I don't just mean technique classes. I feel like when stylists hear, oh, go to a lot of classes, they immediately think, oh, I need to go to a color class or a cutting class. Yes, those are important too, but also go to a content creation class, go to a business class, go to a finance class. You don't know what you don't know, and you don't know when you're going to need to know that information. And trust me, it's better to just start learning and implementing it early on so that you're not trying to like do an overhaul when the time comes for you to move on to your next venture, whether that is being a booth renter, a suite owner, or maybe even a salon owner. You are just starting your career, and I am so excited for you to discover your favorite services and start to connect with people, find your salon home, and just really grow your business. It is going to be a grind at the beginning. Anyone who says it's like, oh, so easy, like it's not the easiest thing ever to just like start working and then have a full book. Just know it's going to be a grind, but the juice is 1000% worth the squeeze. I promise you all of your hard work pays off. Leave some questions down below in the comment section if you are a new stylist. I'll do my best to help you. Again, I can only give you like advice from like a working standpoint, not necessarily if it's like state or county situation. Like obviously I don't live everywhere, so I can't help with that stuff. But if it's just like a general like client building or social media question, anything like that, totally would love to help. I will be hanging out down in the comment section when this video goes live, so definitely if you have anything you want to say, share it down there. And yeah, I'd love to chat. Subscribe if you would like to see my face on your screen again, and if not, okay then. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you in the next one.